Welcome to None Dare Call It Ordinary, the podcast that digs into the unusual, unorthodox, and downright unsettling beliefs found at the depths of the internet and the heights of paranoia. I'm your host, Dylan, and with me is the icy Forrest and the igneous Brent.
Woohoo. Thank you.
Wait, what did you say for Brent?
Ignorant.
Brent, igneous, like an igneous. Brent. No, I didn't say ignorant. I said igneous, like the rock. Okay, I'm going with a geology thing here.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
To go with our Expanding Earth episodes. Thought I would throw that in there.
I thought you might have said atheist or something, and I'm like, doesn't start with an I.
No, man, I know how to spell. I don't think we need to insult my alphabetical abilities. Gosh.
Well, there it is.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is. So, right up top before the episode, we want to remind everyone that we have a Patreon page. You could send us our money for only $1 a month. You can be a member of the Ordinarium and support the podcast. And there are also extra benefits for if you go up the ranks of the Ordinarium. We'll have premium episodes out very soon, and we might send you a postcard. There's also a personalized audio message, all that kind of stuff.
You can win
so
my
just
hair.
Check out.
You can win the hair that you chopped off.
We don't think that's legal. We're waiting
okay.
for our lawyers to clear the hair part of it. We posted that on Instagram. Yeah, Brent's beautiful new look and all the hair that was removed from his head. But I don't think it's legal.
My hair also.
Oh, that's true.
Yes.
There's we also did post a picture of a Forrest's lovely head as well on the Instagram, but we didn't get. I don't know if you saved your hair to donate. That's kind of an Shinrikyo move to send the hair as part of the donation.
I'll just ship Forrest my hair. You can use it.
There are much better benefits if you go to patreon.com/None Dare Call It Ordinary. And as always, if you could please rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes or wherever your podcasts are served.
So what are we talking about on this episode, Dylan?
Well, we are talking about something that has been percolating recently in the news, although it's been around for about a decade now, and that is MMS, also known as a bleach, chlorine dioxide, which is being peddled under the name Mineral Miracle Solutions by Jim Humble and his Genesis 2 Church of Health and Healing. Apparently, this substance will cure autism, it'll cure HIV, it'll cure malaria, but it actually doesn't cure any of those things. So don't take it. It will harm you. That's all we can say. So we want to start by letting you know what bleach is and why maybe you don't want to drink it. So the term bleach is sometimes used to refer to any whitening agent. We're talking about chlorine-based bleaches in this episode.
Yeah, we aren't talking about whitening strips for your teeth. If you want a dentistry podcast, you've come to the wrong place, people. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, we haven't done a We're Not a Blank podcast joke in a long time. I'm glad we're bringing that back.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't have any dentistry facts for any of you all today.
An oldie but goodie.
The main ingredient in household bleach is sodium hypochlorite, NaOCl. Sodium hypochlorite molecules consist of one atom each of sodium, oxygen, and chlorine, a most egalitarian molecule of cleanliness, I must say. It was first produced by Claude Louis Berthoud, a scientific advisor to Napoleon in the 18th century.
Also, a little known fact, the president has mentioned this. Bleach was literally used by Hillary Clinton to obstruct justice into her email probe.
Oh.
Did you guys know that?
No.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Never mind. That was Bleach Bit, an open source software. I'm sorry.
Yes, that's very different.
My mistake.
It's very different. I don't think you could use Bleach Bit to clean your home. Just your email server.
Yeah, I think that's true. Okay.
Before the miracle power of bleach, the best way to whiten clothes in the 18th century was a 12-hour soak in a mixture of lye and sour milk.
Oh, yum. Also, the added spoiled milk smell was all the rage back then. This is something the 80s got wrong. By all means, bleach your pants, everyone. But they forgot to add sour milk. You know, I have to also wonder, see, I'm a vegan. I don't know if I could technically participate in this fashion.
I think it depends on a number of factors. So can soy milk go sour? I don't really know if it can.
I don't know either, probably.
And what about if you had a pet cow, for example?
That's
Could
true.
you use the milk from a pet cow
Maybe. That
as a
might work.
vegan? I don't know how you feel
I don't
about
know.
that.
I'd have to think about that one
Yes.
for a while.
No, because soy boy vegans like Brent believe that having a pet cow is oppressing.
Hey, it's
Oh,
almond
yeah, I
boy.
gotcha.
It's almond boy.
It's-
I don't drink soy milk. I drink almond milk. Anyway, so come on.
Thank you for the clarification.
Okay, you're welcome.
Household bleach contains about 3 to 6% sodium hypochlorite, while wastewater treatment plants up that to about 15%. And you'll want to keep those percentages in mind for later.
Okay.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. What were they? I've already forgotten them.
Well, I'm not going to remind you again. You're just going to have to wait till the end, re-listen to the episode to get that information. Deborah Blum, in her article Bleach to Death Again, explains why bleach is so effective at whitening and sterilizing. Quote, at its most basic, sodium hypochlorite is beautifully made to destroy living cells by efficiently corroding them into slush. One toxicology analysis I found simply describes the results as, quote, liquid necrosis.
Yeah, nice.
And this is why bleach is such an effective cleaner. It's because it's an effective killer. That's all being clean is, killing all the small stuff.
Exactly. I think that's exactly the subtitle of that one book. Don't sweat the small stuff. Murder it. But
Yeah,
that's
kill it dead.
a popular
Also,
book.
Liquid Necrosis, another band name.
That is a
good
really
point.
good band name. That's a good
Liquid
the most metal band name of all.
Yeah, it is.
We're gonna bleach your cells.
So far we've been talking about sodium hypochlorite, which is household bleach. But the friend that we're talking about today is chlorine dioxide. This is another chlorine-based bleach, and it's most commonly used to bleach wood pulp and disinfect municipal water supplies, but it can do so much more. It's used as a fumigant for blueberries, raspberries, and strawberries. It's used to disinfect endoscopes, including cystoscopes for your pee hole and colonoscopes for your butthole. It controls zebra and quagga mussels in water intakes, and it's ineffective at eradicating bed bugs.
Ah, yes. I remember that old nursery rhyme my parents would say to me as a child. Good night, sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite, by pouring bleach all over your bed. And then I would
just
be
just
how that went
bathe
for
in
my
it.
bed and then
I don't remember it that way, but
Well, Brent had kind of a weird,
different
he
family.
was raised kind of strangely, so I think that's part of their
It's true.
weirdness.
Very
Yeah.
strange.
But what if for some reason a human being decided to have a chlorine dioxide cocktail? What would happen to them? Quote, doctors warn chlorine dioxide could do irreparable harm to a child's body by damaging tissues in the digestive system and wreaking havoc on red blood cells.
oh, okay, hold on, Dylan. I'm sorry, but you've already exposed yourself as a huckster.
Oh.
So here's the thing: you're implying that this stuff isn't good to ingest, and yet we put it all over our fruit. We put it in our water supply, put it all over our bed, and even up our ass. So, by your own admission, by the way. So I guess big water, big fruit, and big endoscopy can, use it, but cult leaders can't. That's what you're saying, right? So I'm going to leave the podcast, and I'm not going to partake in your double standards.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I actually had a cystoscopy not too long ago, so I'm definitely in the pocket of big dick camera. I think you're absolutely right.
And
by the way, it's
emphasize
not
that big dick camera.
Yeah, well, it's not
Give me
big
big dick
camera. It's big dick camera. I want to.
It's not a.
I'm not trying to lie
Very
to our
humble.
listeners and to
Very humble.
it's to speak too highly of my physical attributes here, but it's true that I am part of that game. So this is fun. So bleach, not very good for the human body, but what else can it do? According to Dr. Daniel Brooks, medical director at Banner University Medical Center's Poison and Drug Information Center and Outpatient Toxicology Clinic in Phoenix, quote, it can lead to kidney damage and kidney failure. He calls its use to treat autism ludicrous. This stuff does nothing other than introduce potential risk.
Yeah, I mean, hey guys, I just want to let you know, I use Windex on my eyes to keep them clean and clear, and I use Pledge on my penis to clean my wood. Oh, I'm sorry, that was too much information. That's not, it's not appropriate.
We'll need to use some soap on your dirty mouth if you don't knock it off with the boner jokes. This is a very serious podcast.
We need more. No, I'm sorry. We need more than soap to wash his dirty mouth. Get out the bleach.
Yeah, just
Cure all
don't
my
drink it.
diseases,
Just
I don't
swish
care.
it, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But one man thought all these scientists and doctors were wrong about chlorine dioxide. That man's name, Jim Humble, the father of modern bleach shenanigans.
Perfect. His name fits into the type of people we always cover on this podcast, so that's perfect.
Sadly, Humble's parents followed the name a big guy tiny school of naming people because turns out it's the opposite. Opposite day here. So in the early days, Humble got his start in the health field in his early 20s. And by being in the health field, Humble means he ran a health food store in Los Angeles. This is like saying I got my start in academia by working at a bookstore.
Yeah, that makes sense. Actually, it's weird. For me, no joke, I also worked in a bookstore and at the exact same time was a produce manager of a small health food store in Illinois in my 20s. So I guess I am humble. So that's weird.
Oh, no.
Very tiny.
Is this the big reveal that you are, in fact, Jim Humble? Because we're trying to find him.
Yep, that's true.
While in the, quote, health field, Humble developed the Nutritional Evaluation Test, a 200-item questionnaire to determine nutritional deficits.
So I typed this term health field into Google, and what pops up is public health field, with no mention of health field on its own. So I guess it's a made-up term. Or maybe Humble is keeping it humble and admitting this has nothing to do with public health. So maybe a different type of health? Like, I don't know, maybe the health of his bank account, maybe?
Oh, it could be, yeah. It's definitely helping there.
Okay.
I was thinking it's more like a gravitational field, but for health. It's a health field,
yeah,
like a
makes
health
sense.
wave.
Or perhaps he means that he developed this test while playing in the outfield at his health softball league. So there's...
Oh, it could be that too. There are a lot of options.
Probably not.
We're going to say that.
Probably not that one.
So this questionnaire entered the computer age and, quote, was considered by many to be the most accurate method of determining deficiencies known at the time. And that quote is from Jim Humble's website itself, so take that as you will. And our most astute listeners will remember a certain cancer quack who is also a devotee of questionnaire-based science.
Yeah, is there any...
So Humble is not the first to go this route.
Yeah, is there any better method of science though, really? I mean, it's perfect.
No, you just ask them, why are you sick?
Fill this out.
Yeah, that's the best way to diagnose.
Man, doctors are really screwing up because whenever you go to the doctor's office, you usually have to fill out some kind of questionnaire.
I know. That should be the end of the treatment. Just leave. Just fill that out and leave.
That's the thing, yeah.
You've already been examined.
You could reduce healthcare costs by a lot by going that route.
Yeah, really, we should just be able to go to the doctor by mail.
Perfect.
Just fill out a questionnaire and just mail it in.
Yeah, I like that.
Or fax it in, because apparently they like faxes. So while curing disease by asking questions, Humble even managed to cure his own broken neck in, quote, record time with magnets.
Ooh, fuck yeah. Rock on, Humble. What a metalhead.
More like a metal neck.
Yeah,
though, because it was a broken neck.
true.
And you really need that if you're going to be a metal head. You got to have the neck in
I also
strong
want to
shape.
know if there's a list of all the people that have cured their broken neck with magnets, because he did it in record time. I want to know what the original record was before he broke it.
That's a good point.
We still don't even know how they work. So
Yeah.
we got a ways to go.
That's true. And it could be that he's the only one who's done it. And so by definition, he did it in record time. And it could have taken like 15 years.
So this could be true.
I mean, hey, it's record time. He's the only one who's done it.
True enough.
Now, despite managing the health food store in his early 20s, Jim Humble claims his career started even before then and started in the aerospace industry as a research engineer. According to his website, quote, he worked on the first intercontinental missile, wrote instruction manuals for the first vacuum tube computers, worked on secret radio control electronics, and dozens of other, quote, state-of-the-art electronic projects at Hughes Aircraft Company, Northrop Aircraft, General Motors Research Defense Laboratories, and others. He also apparently worked on the atomic bomb and the lunar module.
I like the scare quotes around state of the art in that statement. Hey, maybe I got an idea. Maybe his electronics job at those places amounted to screwing in a light bulb as a janitor. I think that might be.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
That might be it.
State of the janitorial art. It could be. But in 2008, he admitted that he doesn't actually have an engineering degree, so maybe this goes into the janitor theory as explaining what exactly he was up to.
I think he actually just missed his calling. He should write a book on how to build a UFO.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the same qualifications. Yeah. And Paul Potter's biggest misstep, speaking of which, was that he failed to notice how healthy looking all the ETs were in Andreassen's drawings. And he really could have went engineering and health at the same time.
Yeah, and he
got
had
both in one shot.
Exactly. He had the greatest drawings of all time anyway that depicted those details. Is such an oversight on his part. So
Yeah, she was a perfect artist.
perfect artist.
And if you can diagnose someone on the basis of a questionnaire, imagine what you can learn from a perfect artist. I mean, the possibilities are endless.
Oh, God.
But in fact, Humble is someone much more important than a person with an engineering degree. Humble, quote, claims to be a billion-year-old god from the Andromeda galaxy who was sent to protect and monitor Earth. So definitely a bit of a shift there.
Yeah, health food store manager with an engineering degree, I simply cannot believe, but this I can get behind, obviously.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I imagine anyone who's managing a health food store, it's some alien.
Exactly.
I just can't get over the last name of this guy, Humble.
Yeah.
It's so ironic.
Wow.
Engineer,
Just drenched in
entrepreneur,
irony.
God. He literally has God on his resume. But really, it's this outside the Milky Way thinking that we really need to solve our pending medical crises here on Earth. So I think if anyone is going to help, it's going to be Humble. Further going into his galactic career, Humble says, quote, and then I asked to be put in part of the Space Navy that watched over Earth. So he's a former Scientologist. And so my guess is that's where all this Space Navy space stuff is coming from.
He learned from the best.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to wonder in his time in the Space Navy if he was ever asked to cover up John McCain's name over the Space Navy ship, the USSS John McCain. So I'm not sure.
It could have been.
But he could have been.
Except, no. In the Space Navy, it wasn't John McCain. It was John McCain. Like that. That's the way you say that.
Really hard to pronounce John McCain's name in space.
They had at the time, though, the evil president Xenu, and he hated that, so he was really jealous, and one of his subordinates ordered that they cover up the name.
Right.
You see.
Yeah, and you could still use.
And then when they asked Xenu, did you order it? He said no, but whoever did is awesome. Yeah, these are little known facts about this alternate universe.
And so, health food store, God, engineer, it can be hard to keep track of all of Humble's humble accomplishments, but he offers a useful summary on his website. Quote, I have done many things in my lifetime, gone from a backwoods boy in Alabama to the Marines, to a nutritional and alternative health enthusiast, to aerospace, to electronics researcher, to inventor of many things, to gold mining, and the list goes on and on.
Yeah, you would think he would have mentioned in that statement that he was also, I don't know, a god. So, but he left that out in that one, but led with that probably. But
yeah, definitely burying the lead, so to speak. But I have to disagree, though. I mean, do you think Humble is some kind of Kanye West of alternative medicine? His name is Humble, for Christ's sake.
Look. You're not the Kanye West of alternative medicine until you make a video game about your mom ascending into heaven. I mean, y'all acting like this shit is regular. This shit is hard.
It is hard. And speaking of gold mining, you might have heard, again, so many jobs. He was a gold miner. And it was while gold mining in South America in 1996 that Jim Humble discovered the magical powers of industrial strength whiteners.
Makes sense.
On this particular expedition, his traveling party became ill with malaria. But with just one treatment of a chlorine water solution, they were cured within hours.
Oh, wow.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Now, I understand how after this kind of event can happen, you'd be like, oh, I've got to tell everyone how great bleach is. But I have no idea where he got this idea in the first place to give his traveling party bleach.
I'm sure you can go to WorldNet Daily and they have an article all about it.
I'm sure he probably used it to clean the engine of his Pinto or something and thought, oh, that could also work for malaria. Pinto is the official car of WorldNet Daily.
Yeah,
listen to our Jonathan Kahn episode to learn more about that.
Yeah, I mean, the only problem is, the Jew York Times, they did not report on this, and they are always trying to cover up the truth, and it's making me so angry.
Yeah, I'm angry.
Yep.
The paper of record, give me a break.
Ugh.
After seeing the healing powers of chlorine himself, Jim Humble started to sell the stuff, marketing the poison as Miracle Mineral Solutions. On his YouTube channel, Jim Humble shows how to prepare the tincture in his trademark short sleeve white button-up and hat with a green crystal emblem.
Oh, okay, that checks out. He clearly has an engineering degree then.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever I see the image of Humble, I always think he's going to say, "Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Yeah, it is the same. That's probably where he got the look. When did Jurassic Park come out? It was around the same time.
I think the book was written in the late 80s, and the movie came out in 1993 though, I think.
Okay, so he was probably wearing that outfit when he was in South America and probably just decided to stick with it. He was probably inspired by the movie.
Michael Crichton was thinking, I got to have the image of somebody that strikes you as a billionaire right away. And so someone that knows what he's doing. Yeah. Right. So we're going to use this humble guy as our template.
Clearly, that makes sense. So
that's what happened.
So far, we've only heard from Jim Humble about MMS, but we want to be balanced. So we found a McGill University Office for Science and Society article titled Miracle Mineral Solution is a Nightmare. And it introduces their readers to MMS in this way, quote, "There's nothing subtle about the name of this purported wonder, Miracle Mineral Solution. Well, there are no miracles to be had, or minerals. Admittedly, however, there is a solution. Not a solution to any problem, but a solution in the sense of a substance being dissolved in water, and that substance is sodium chloride."
Yeah.
But I don't think this is right. There is one miracle that more people haven't died yet from drinking it.
Oh, man. Also, I do recommend all of our listeners go look at the McGill Office for Science and Society article. It's actually
it's hilarious.
Really good, really funny, too. It's hilarious.
It's beautiful. It's actually on the blog post for this episode,
nice.
Which you can find on our website. We have a link to it there. Sodium chloride has one extra atom of oxygen compared to household bleach, and it's itself used in mouthwash. Jim Humble recommends mixing MMS with orange juice.
Also, try squeezing a lime on top of it. It really brings out the flavor, the little lime twist.
Yeah, we need a mixologist to really start working with Jim Humble to really bring the bleach notes out.
Yes.
While drinking sodium chloride is bad on its own, after all, you don't really want to drink mouthwash, do you?
Well, not on purpose. Sometimes you accidentally do. But
yeah, not on purpose. That's what I'm saying. The acids in the orange juice mix with MMS to produce chlorine dioxide, that wonderful bleach we've come to know and love. But the problem is that I lied. I said I wouldn't mention this again, but like household bleaches, roughly 3 to 6% of the chlorine bleach, industrial wastewater treatment, about 15%. This is about 28%, the pure undiluted stuff. So it's pretty extreme. And according to the EPA, chlorine dioxide is strong enough to kill anthrax spores.
Wait a minute. We still have an EPA?
I'm not sure. I was confused by this too. I assume all this documentation was found in some archaeological dig where the offices of the EPA used to be. And that's how they figured all this out. Jim Humble is not at all humble about the positive effects of MMS. Quote, "It has proven to restore partial or full health to hundreds of thousands of people suffering from a wide range of disease, including cancer, diabetes, hepatitis A, B, and C.
But not E, F, and G?
Not yet. That's for MMS2 to handle."
Okay.
Continuing the quote, "Lyme disease, MRSA, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, HIV, AIDS, malaria, autism, infections of all kinds, arthritis, high cholesterol, acid reflux, kidney or liver diseases, aches and pains, allergies, urinary tract infections, digestive problems, high blood pressure, obesity, parasites, tumors and cysts, depression, sinus problems, eye disease, ear infections, dengue fever, skin problems, dental issues, problems with prostate, high PSA, erectile dysfunction, and the list goes on."
But not athlete's foot, so never mind then. I was going to do it. But
he said the list goes on, Brent. You're just hallucinating that it doesn't restore partial or full health to people suffering from athlete's foot. That's on you.
Yeah. Read it, Brent. Okay, so, and by the way, I'm kind of excited. This stuff is like the hypochondriac elixir of life, so if I take this, I'll never have to Google symptoms again because it cures everything.
Yeah.
So it takes care of everything except for hepatitis E, F, and G, I guess. But
also, it doesn't cure low blood pressure, just high blood pressure. So
no. Nothing cures low blood pressure. I mean, it's a miracle, but let's not take it too far. While it has proven to restore partial or full health to people with these conditions, Humble stresses that MMS does not cure disease.
Oh, man. I mean, God, I guess I got to go back to excessively Googling symptoms.
No, I'm sorry, buddy.
I mean, what is a disease really anyway, guys? Come on.
Yeah.
That's true. We don't know. If you listen to our mental illness denialism series, you might find information about just what a disease is.
Yes.
It's all tissue.
Tissues. Instead, MMS merely kills pathogens and destroys poisons, allowing the body to heal itself.
Does it work on bleach poisoning?
Well, Brent, that's a contradiction.
Oh.
Bleach does not poison you.
Does it
helps
cure
you.
contradictions?
No, only Grand Priest can cure contradictions.
For all you dialethists out there.
Ugh. Talk about a terminal condition, dialethism. Just so we're clear here, some of the immediate results of drinking bleach are nausea, vomiting, and a drastic drop in blood pressure. There's that low blood pressure that Brent was talking about. However, Humble says that nausea is a good thing because it means that the toxins in your body are being eliminated.
Oh.
He does state that if the stomach ache is too uncomfortable, it can be lessened, quote, by eating cold apple slices that will absorb stomach toxins that have been dumped there.
Wait. Are we talking Granny Smith, Golden Delicious? Don't leave us hanging here. This is, give us more detail.
I don't think that matters. Really, I think what this shows is that you should just soak the apple slices in MMS in the first place and then eat them. And then that way you get the benefits without the stomach ache.
Right.
Well, is it dangerous to mix the wax sometimes on the outside of apples with MMS? Does that create some kind of toxic like fumes? I mean, it's not toxic to begin with, obviously, but
yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
yeah, I just got to be. I'm always careful when I mix household supplies all the time because you can make mustard gas by accident. I just want to make sure that by mixing wax apple slices with MMS, I'm not creating like some horrible gas. That's all.
You got to be organized with your chemical miracle cures. Remember though, and again, I want to be very clear about this. Humble says that MMS does not cure disease, and he made this really clear to a statement to Business Insider, quote, I want to clarify a very important point. Many people naturally say MMS cures this or that. I've made the same statement myself from time to time in certain situations.
Well, there you go.
When put on the spot, or when the words were put in my mouth, or as a matter of going with the flow of terminology that others use.
Nice.
Oh my god!
In our speech and in our global society, we often blur the lines with words and their meanings.
Globalism.
But for the record, I want to clarify here, MMS does not cure disease. MMS kills pathogens and destroys or oxidizes poisons. When pathogens and poisons in the body are reduced or eliminated, then the body can function properly and thereby heal. I often say the body heals the body. MMS helps to line things up so the body can do just that.
Yeah, the fucking tyranny of terminology. Am I right? Jesus.
Yeah, it's a killer.
And by the way, I think Humble should do what Dylan suggested Jonathan Kahn should say to assuage the problem of people mistaking his fictional book for fact. Quote, it's fiction.
Yeah, that's it. It's pretty easy.
And done.
This tyranny of being forced to say that it cures stuff that is this weird, totally weird excuse that is totally not legitimate in any way.
I mean, if you put me on the spot, I'll say crazy stuff. No, that is not acceptable.
I'm just going with the flow of terminology. That's going to be my new excuse. I'm just going to lie all day, and I'll just say that.
Yeah.
So now that that's clarified, did you know that Humble is also being targeted by Big Pharma?
Oh,
According to the McGill article mentioned above, a supporter of Humble explains why he is under attack. Quote, Humble had become so famous that 2 drug companies contacted the Minister of Health in an unnamed country and threatened to quit shipping drugs to the local hospitals if she didn't do something about the person claiming to be able to cure malaria. Those heartless drug companies voluntarily reducing their profits because some lunatic is poisoning people. They just care about the money.
Hey.
That must be the what follows.
Hey, Dylan. He said we can eat cold apple slices. He's not a monster. Keep it in perspective.
I don't know. I think he is. Again, Humble is a former Scientologist, so he's not going to just sell MMS as part of a private company. He's going to do it as part of a church. So not only does he sell this crap, he appointed himself archbishop of an entire church to promote bleaching your way to wellness, the Genesis 2 Church of Health and healing.
Yes, and the congregation is actually led by Pastor Sega.
I hear their God lives on Saturn for some reason.
By the way, is Genesis 2 the first book of the Bible for Vatican II?
That makes sense.
That's some slick
checks out,
set of accountist insults there of the Novus Ordo.
Yeah.
Love to see that.
Track
Genesis
cast.
2 describes themselves this way, quote, "There has never been a similar church to this church. There has never been a church of health and healing, insofar as our research has been able to determine. Our name is Genesis 2 Church of Health and Healing. The word Genesis means the beginning. The 2 symbolizes the second beginning. And we look at the words health and healing to indicate that we are working towards, quote, bringing health to the world."
Insofar as our research has been able to determine. I guess he just did a Google search. There is no other church of health and healing, and that's it. So.
Yeah. Now, while there are Bible quotes on the Genesis 2 website, they do not appear to be a Christian church, although they do enjoy the word archbishop, as mentioned earlier.
Yeah,
and
just
as a
take it.
reminder from our Sedevacantism series, the difference between a bishop and an archbishop is that archbishops run very large or prominent dioceses, so it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to just have archbishops. They
It's
just
true.
thought, oh, it sounds cooler, so we're going to be archbishops.
Yeah.
Why not? Dylan, maybe it's a bit like Jim Jones. We talked about before how he liked the aesthetic and the yelling. And that's the main thing. Maybe the same thing's going here of humble.
Yeah,
Not
Yeah.
Christian.
They just like the big hats.
Yeah.
We,
and
yeah,
the
we got-
names.
exactly. We like the big hat.
He likes the terminology.
Yeah, exactly. Taking a look at their beliefs page, some are a little troubling. So here they are. We believe that all people have the right to physical, mental, and spiritual health. Okay, so far so good.
Yeah, that's good.
We believe that all people have the right to determine their own methods of attaining physical health.
Ooh, yeah. Yes, live your best life. Live your own truth. Administer your own health. Die your own death. It's perfect.
Exactly. Go from breatharian to deatharian. That's the way of liberty. And what's weird to me about this way of describing their beliefs is that Genesis 2 sells their own health potions. But I thought I'm supposed to find my own method for dealing with my health problems. Why am I buying theirs? Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. The next principle, we believe that all people have the right to consume various products for their health, including but not limited to vitamins, minerals, herbs, proteins, fats, carbohydrates, and all other substances created by God in empty quantities that they consider useful for their personal health.
Wait. I can have carbs and bleach too? Fuck keto then.
No. Keep with the keto. Combine it with keto.
Oh.
You have your coffee, and then you add lard,
Okay.
but then you add bleach. And so
right.
you get it all. Mix it all in one go. Also, I love how they have a list starting with, but not limited to, and then one of the items on the list is all other substances. So it's not limited to everything.
Was God the first person to synthesize bleach, by the way? Or
I wondered about that. I'm not sure. It's at the very least, it's indirect. God's role
maybe at a
in creating
mine
bleach.
somewhere you can find a little bit of natural bleach. I don't know. I don't know how you get natural bleach.
I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know.
I have a feeling that you can't just go find natural bleach very easily.
Yeah, I don't think the famous Yellowstone bleach spring, I don't think those exist. Next principle. We believe that all people have the right to purchase these various products for their health and to maintain such products in their place of abode or wherever they so choose. And this is going to piss off a lot of parents. No, Timmy, you can't eat ice cream to cure your malaria. Next. We believe that all people have a right to live a disease-free life.
Okay, this is too controversial. Sorry, I had to put my foot down. I don't agree with that.
Your athletes, you got to put your athlete's foot down. But
true.
you know who is living a disease-free life? Thomas Oz. He was really good at that.
And to hear more about the wonderful world of Thomas Ah, again, check out our mental illness denialism series.
Yeah, he had a lot of true ideas.
Yeah, he did.
We believe that all people have the right to accept or reject any drug, chemical, and or any substance from being injected into their bodies or suggested, ordered, or prescribed for their use by injection or any other method of entering the human body.
Jeez. You also have the right to then cut yourself off from society, stay locked in your homes if you do so, and thank you.
No, you don't have to do that. You could just be free living for them.
Ooh.
But I really like this because I have a product I think they'll like. I call it the crystal meth cure for boredom and procrastination. And I think I'm going to use my membership in the Genesis 2 church to get full legal immunity for my that's my sacrament.
Nice. Okay, so also the last part of the belief page says this, quote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all pseudoscience is created equal, that they are endowed by their creators with certain imbecilic rights, that among these are bullshit, chicanery, and the pursuit of nonsense." That's what it says.
Perfect.
It's
Beautiful.
absolutely the quote, for
Beautiful
sure.
words. Beautiful words. Again, so far, these statements are what your rights are from the tyrannical government to stop you from drinking poison. But they do have very strong feelings about what you shouldn't take. Quote, "Due to our study of, quote, truth and, quote, true history, we at the Genesis 2 Church of Health and Healing want to, quote, proclaim what we have learned regarding health and the medical and pharmaceutical, quote, industries. And
Oh, God.
as a friendly reminder, we here at None Dare Call It Ordinary, we should be the ones putting truth and true history in quotes, not you. It's a bad look.
You come from the presidential school of quotation use.
Oh, yes. That makes sense then.
Yeah, exactly. That's a problem. Need to get an editor in here. Continuing the quote, "We proclaim to the world to not ask your doctor for any advice about health or nutrition. Number one cause of death in U.S., iatrogenics, death by doctors."
Oh, another great band name, Death by Doctors.
Ooh, I do like that. Each member of the band could have a different specialty. So this is our drummer, the podiatrist of death. This is our bass player, the nephrologist of death. And we're here to rock and murder you.
Are you ready to rock?
Continuing the suggestions, not to go to a hospital unless an emergency.
That's not really a problem in this country with our healthcare system, so covered.
Oh.
Oh. Also, I take it that Genesis 2, they're not a big fan of doctors. They're not a big fan of hospitals. But so why would you go to in an emergency then?
Yeah.
If hospitals are just evil big pharma shills, I would just stay away from them under all circumstances.
I was going to say,
It
maybe
seems like an emergency is the worst time to go.
maybe they were hedging and saying, well, if we put the emergency room in there, maybe that covers us slightly legally. But honestly, at this point, I think they should just go all the way because
Yeah.
you've already gotten to so much legal,
Yeah.
ambiguity here. I think you should just keep going.
Just go all the way.
Yeah.
Further, they proclaim to the world to not allow your child to be vaccinated for any reason ever.
Even if that reason is the best reason ever reasoned by the medical community.
Especially then.
Yeah.
Okay.
They proclaim to not take pharmaceutical drugs, be drug-free.
Ah, the original DARE program.
Indeed. And also this, there goes my Genesis 2 sponsorship for my crystal meth cure for boredom and procrastination. Unfortunately, I didn't realize. I thought they would be fine with this, but I guess not.
Yeah.
Continuing, do not trust the educational system to teach truth about history, science, morals, or God. Literature, math, and theater, however, is perfectly fine.
Well, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, man, who could forget those morals classes we had? Ugh, I hated those.
God, I know.
Well, wait a
God
minute.
classes.
Hold on.
Well, I had those actually.
Wait, we learned in Lyndon LaRouche that you derive law from Euclidean geometry, right? Wasn't that?
That's true.
wasn't I think we need to have at least that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think we should just be safe and stop teaching geometry. Everything else, I guess we can keep for the
Just
mathematics.
cover our bases.
They also say only eat real foods organically and unprocessed.
Wait, bleach isn't a real food? Can I eat that at least?
As long as the bleach is organic and unprocessed.
Okay.
That last part is going to be difficult, but that's what you have to do.
And locally sourced is preferable.
This is a religion, not a game.
Yes.
You got to go to White Sands, New Mexico, and just look up all the sand.
And lastly, take personal responsibility for your own health and that of your family.
Your family does not deserve their own autonomy. So
I agree.
yeah.
Bishop Lewis, my fiance, it's my responsibility that they drink all the bleach that they need. The Genesis 2 website even has a handy letter of religious exemption for vaccines and other mandatory medications signed by Archbishop Mark Grennan himself. Despite the confidence the church has in their sacraments, the bottom of Jim Humble's website offers a disclaimer about the religious nature of bleach.
I mean, Nirvana's Bleach is a good album. It's not their best, though.
Yeah, that's true. The key is to take bleach in utero to get yourself a bleach baby.
Wait, I think you're onto something, Brent.
Yeah.
It's in the lyrics, remember? Come, dust and mud, soaked in bleach. Remember that?
Oh, that's
It's in the
what
song.
he's
Right.
talking about.
Yeah, that's what's going
Kurt
on.
Cobain was an early fan of the MMS. Maybe
They
explains
cracked the
the
code.
weirdness of his suicide. Who knows?
Bleacheria, bleacheria.
So the disclaimer on the bottom of the website is, quote, the protocols described on this site are official sacraments of the Genesis 2 Church of Health and Healing. The reader accepts 100% responsibility for any and all use made of any information herein.
I think that's the first verse in the Bible too, isn't it? Or
No, it's the first verse in the Bible, part 2.
Oh.
And that's where you find Genesis 2.
Oh, okay.
And that's what this church is named after.
Is but the Bible too Electric Boogaloo?
Exactly. The Genesis 2 Church of Health and Healing don't just offer information and a bleach store on their website. Instead, they go to the people themselves and deliver their whitened wisdom firsthand. In May 2019, they advertised a seminar on their Facebook page, quote, Bishop Mark Grennan, he's a bishop now, not an archbishop, I don't know why, will be leading this seminar and introducing attendees to chlorine dioxide therapy, otherwise known as MMS. And we all know that Archbishop Grennan is legit because he also wears the humble suit of a white button-up shirt with a green jeweled cowboy hat.
perfect.
Now, what about these seminars? For a mere $450 or $800 for couples and $400 for returning seminarians, in donations, by the way, you're not paying for anything, you can attend and learn about the miracle of industrial poison. As a friendly reminder, by the way, the FDA thinks that, quote, consumers who have MMS should stop using it immediately and throw it away. So don't even keep it in your house.
Yeah.
The
Don't use
temptation
it to
will be
clean.
too great.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know what? Sorry, I'll pass. I could use that $450 for something so much better, such as, I don't know, a yearly subscription to Executive Intelligence Review. I think that's what I can use.
Exactly.
Much better
Where
use
else
of
are you
that
going to learn about all the new fusion weapons being developed?
Right.
Yeah. By the way, in order to cure the disease disguised as a president, I think we'll have to put a bunch of bleach under Obama's suit. I think that's the way.
That's
The
the
only
answer.
way to cure that disease.
Yeah.
That's how we got a tan suit in the first place.
Oh, it all makes
shit.
sense. It's all coming together. This is the download process yet again.
Yes, it's happening again live.
There it
Now,
is.
this seminar was the topic of an ABC News, a 2020 expose, and this was all the way back in 2016. During the seminar, Mark Grennan says, seemingly out of nowhere, quote, I hope they think I'm a raving lunatic. I really do. And I get it. Raving lunatic sounds much better than, say, conniving con artist.
Archbishop Lunatic. Yeah, it's got a good ring to it.
Ooh, it does. Grennan himself also makes videos just like Jim Humble does, with the nice touch of using a wine glass to do the mixing.
Ooh, elegant.
And this makes sense. Wine is a sacrament. Bleach is a sacrament. So bleach should go in the wine glass.
Yeah, just for warning, don't ever go to a dinner party hosted by either of these guys. That's not white wine in your wine glass, people. So that is just warning everybody.
Ooh. Even if they don't do it intentionally, it's a mistake you can't afford to make.
Right.
The narrator of the ABC News episode, the expose, says the contents of the seminar, quote, came out of the Book of Shams. And I would like to get my hands on a copy of this so we can get some money rolling into the podcast, gets to learn some of these scams that are in this book.
That has to be like 8 million pages long by now, too. Biggest
Yeah, there's
volume.
a
So
lot
many
of them.
volumes.
Grennan in the seminar is filmed as saying, quote, I've got people curing some major stuff just from that, from prostate cancer to brain cancer to autism. And I wish more medical professionals talk like that, sir. After looking at your MRI and your blood work, I regret to inform you that you are suffering from a severe case of stage 4 major stuff. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Like Woody Allen and Hannah and her sisters, I'm always worried about stage 4 major stuff. Also.
I also wish all doctors could be taken more seriously by donning a green crystal encrusted hat and wine glass full of bleach just every time you meet with them.
Yeah, they should start taking on the accoutrements of the quack practitioners
Right.
and really, get all that stuff
Get
going.
serious. Yep.
As Bishop Grennan was walking into his hotel room, Brian Ross, who is the host of this 2020 program, confronted him about the bleach work. Grennan said, quote, we're a church. We have sacraments we use. When Ross pushed on the idea that bleach can cure anything, Grennan got a little miffed. You piece of, as we say in Spanish, liars, stupid son of a bitch. But we can't just focus on Grennan's work in the US yelling at news reporters, because his work is international. He has traveled to Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean, targeting people he calls, quote, uneducated and simple.
Not racist.
And I think when you leave the goofy hat and bullshit medicine at home, that's when you can start throwing the insults around. Not until then.
Oh, yeah. And as we all know, it's the white man's burden to spread the radiating whiteness of bleach to the lower human species. So
Oh, yeah, exactly.
yeah,
That's
of course.
the apex of white supremacy. You should not only be white on the outside, but, white on the inside.
Hey,
So all the
Brent,
way
it's not
through.
white supremacy. It's race realism.
Oh, my bad. My bad.
We're just being
I
real
am
here.
uneducated. Yep. I need to
All right.
start watching a bunch of YouTube
What
videos.
you have to do, I'm
immediately.
going to prescribe you 80 hours of Stefan Molyneux podcasts.
All right.
And you have to watch them all without break. I'm sorry.
That
It's the
is
only way
too
to
much.
do it.
Sorry, Brent, but it's the only way you're going to learn to be an empiricist. The 2020 report continues with the YouTube videos Genesis 2 uses to show how effective industrial whiteners are at improving your health. Somehow, they even roped a doctor, Dr. John Humiston, into providing a bizarre testimonial for MMS saying, quote, I've used it on my children. And it was a really weird pause. Maybe they could have done a retake. I don't know why they kept that
That's
one.
really weird.
But yeah, I don't know.
Well, to quote Ed Wood, no, it's perfect.
Oh, yeah. Okay. ABC decided to follow up with Dr. Humiston, and it turns out he's actually not a big fan of MMS. Quote, he no longer uses MMS and never believed it can cure any disease. He says he now regrets his endorsement in the video. And it's never explained what he thought was so great about MMS in the first place, if he didn't think it could cure diseases. Maybe that's what I would like to know. Like, why?
Yeah.
What did he think was good about it in the first place?
Maybe Humble just ambushed him and said, here's a 20 spot if you say this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be as simple as that. But Dr. Humiston's change of heart didn't stop Grennan from using the video in the seminar.
Of course not.
Now, we already know that MMS is just bleach, but ABC News has a really effective way of showing why you shouldn't drink it. They poured MMS onto a pair of brand new jeans, and it bleached both sides
Oh.
of the jeans.
Oh, I got chills.
Fair
listening
and
to it.
balanced reporting there by ABC for once. Yeah, there were very fine bleach stains on both sides.
Yeah,
Oh.
exactly.
Very, very fair and balanced, which is unusual.
But enough
Not for
about
ABC.
pants. Let's look at breast cancer, because this is how this piece of reporting ends, with Grennan saying, quote, if you get breast cancer, I'm not going to say deserve it, you brought it on.
Oh,
And I was really confused. This kind of seemed to come out of nowhere, but I think I understand the reasoning. If you're a woman, your role is clearly in the home. Part of that role is cleaning the house. You should be using bleach to clean the house. And so if you were doing your job right, the bleach fumes would have prevented you from getting breast cancer. I think that's his line of reasoning.
excellent.
You have to be barefoot and pregnant too. I think
Excuse
that
me,
does
I'm
help.
going to go to the corner of my room, smoke my pipe, and read the newspaper. You just keep vacuuming there.
All right, so enough about Mark Grennan. Where is the founder? Where is Jim Humble in all this? It turns out that he's learned a lot from the founder of Scientology, and he pulled an L. Ron Hubbard and tried disappearing into obscurity once his church was set up. But 2020 tracked him down in Guadalajara, and the exchange wasn't very edifying.
It wasn't?
No. And this is the exchange on that 2020 program. The government says what you're selling is poison, that you're hurting people, hurting children. There may have been deaths. What do you say about that?
I say it ain't true.
You stand by this?
Of course.
You think it's a good thing for children to take?
I do, yes.
Women with breast cancer should take this, you think?
Why? Many people with breast cancer have been cured.
Is there any proof of that?
I have.
There's no proof of that, and you know it.
I have thousands.
Aren't you just a con man?
Well, I don't think so.
Yeah, and that's it. That's like
I wish they would have let Humble finish. Thousands of what? Thousands of what? Come on.
thousands of dollars, baby. Oh.
Please don't undersell him. Millions.
And so this is the end of the 2020 expose. So after this comes out, and there's been a lot of reporting, there's a Business Insider has done a lot of reporting. ABC did all this. What does Archbishop Mark Grennan think of all this? Quote, We don't answer fake news organizations that lie with an agenda from the real owners that are just plain evil and do not want to see the truth get out about how big pharma medical industry are paying the politicians and the courts to look the other way while the world is being poisoned by their toxic drugs.
Just so everyone knows, whenever Dylan said those words, like he put emphasis on the words, they were all in caps.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Yeah, it actually has all the markings of a presidential tweet.
Oh, please. You know as well as I do, the Trump effect is a myth. Doesn't influence anyone.
It's true. I am hallucinating.
As per usual with alternative medicine quacks, MMS got its first mass trial outside of the US, this time in Africa. Robert Baldwin, a New Jersey pastor, had a dream to give bleach to thousands of Ugandans. Apparently, this is how Baldwin's church, Global Healing, interprets its church's goal of, quote, using the power of Almighty God to greatly reduce the loss of life in Africa. But the church thing might have been a bit of a ruse. Fiona O'Leary, an anti-quack medicine crusader, interviewed Baldwin under the pretense of being a journalist, saying in a recorded interview, quote, we don't want to draw any attention. When you draw attention to MMS, you run the risk of getting in trouble with the government or drug companies. You have to do it low key. That's why I set it up through the church.
I wonder why they don't want to draw too much attention, though. I mean, what's a real reason?
Well, I think I know. It's because Big Pharma doesn't want to let the real medicine affect their bottom line. That's what's really going on.
That's actually true, yeah. Yep.
Baldwin's subterfuge extended to using euphemisms on Facebook, where the church receives donations to avoid the algorithm police. Quote, I don't call it MMS. I call it healing water to protect myself. They are very sophisticated. Facebook has algorithms that can recognize MMS.
Baldwin should secretly disguise his Miracle Cure as a cleaning product and then openly sold it online. That way, on social media, police can't find him that way.
And that's a good point. I mean, that's how they did like with spice and bath salts. That's how that works so well for them.
Yes, it does.
They just said, look, it's not a drug. It's you just put it in your bath to feel good, or it's potpourri.
Exactly. Right.
Baldwin imported MMS and citric acid into Uganda from China to make his dream come true. MMS, in usual fashion, was touted as a cure for malaria and HIV/AIDS. Baldwin trained 1,200 clerics how to administer MMS, and they each treated roughly 50 congregants. In case you overdid it with your MMS supplement this morning, that's about 50,000 Ugandans poisoned, including children as young as 4.
You yourself need to lay off the MMS because it's actually 60,000.
I said about 50,000 Ugandans.
I'm saying it's actually about closer to 60,000.
Well, I didn't say anything about closer. 60,000 is about 50,000.
Oh, man.
10,000 is a lot.
I think we should all lay off the
To your
MMS.
small, unbleached mind, it might be a lot, but in reality, it's not.
Listen, our listeners can do 1,200 times 50, and you decide which is closer.
In all honesty, the 50,000 number came from the headline of the Business Insider article said 50,000.
Well, Business Insider are morons. Fake
News alert.
That could be it. So Baldwin had an interesting technique to inspire the clerics to provide MMS. He offered clerics who were especially committed to poisoning children a smartphone.
Oh, Siri, why are MMS clerics poisoning Ugandans? I found this on the web for why Eric is poisoning Ugandans. I literally did ask that, and that was what it came back. I was like, well, Eric, poor Eric.
Come on, Baldwin was buying them Android phones. He couldn't afford iPhones.
Yeah, like one of those cheap, prepaid track phones that you can get.
Yeah,
he
I don't like this
CVS.
This phone socialism giveaway stuff either. I don't like it.
Yeah, they're all the leftover Obama phones. That's what he gave them.
The Obama phone that was originally started by the George W. Bush administration, but they don't talk about that.
Doesn't matter.
No. Keep it a secret. Shh. Perhaps Baldwin's medical naivete stems from his dearth of medical knowledge. He trained as a student nurse, but that's about it.
Okay.
One question you might have is, why Uganda? Surely there are infants in New Jersey who could benefit from MMS poisoning. Turns out he chose Uganda, according to the Guardian article, because, quote, it was a poor country with weak regulation.
Well, there it is.
There it is. And the thing is, so that's a quote. He said weak regulation, and that implies that the regulations aren't very good. So maybe this is all a very bad idea. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't
You know
know.
what, though, Dylan? Seriously, libertarians tell me the weaker the regulations, the better it is for everyone. So I just can't take this cognitive dissonance here. This is hard. It's really
So
hard.
continuing the quote from Baldwin, America and Europe have much stricter laws, so you're not as free to treat people because it is so controlled by the FDA. That's why I work in
Evil.
developing countries.
Disgusting.
Those people in poor countries, they don't have the options that we have in richer countries. They are much more open to receiving the blessings that God has given them.
Exactly. That makes sense. If you want to go to heaven one day and be with God, you need to have a squeaky clean life, eh?
I like it.
Yeah, also, so I take it Baldwin thinks MMS is the blessing, and Jim Baldwin is giving them MMS. So Baldwin is saying that he is God, which is pretty intense. So
Wait,
that seems to
which
be a
galaxy?
theme here
The
with the
Andromeda
Bleach heads.
galaxy? Like, which one?
Oh.
I hope not. I mean, maybe that's where, it
Well,
could
no,
be,
because
and that's where
Hummel's
they're all
already
getting these
laid
ideas
claim to
from.
being God from the Andromeda galaxy. So,
Well, there could be more than one, though.
yeah, it's a polytheistic scenario.
And it could be a thing where like the native Andromedan biology is actually helped by bleach, and they just haven't figured out that human beings are wired differently. Maybe that's what's going on.
I think we're onto something. Downloading process
You
yet again.
Yeah, it's like you get abducted by aliens and they're shoving things down your throat. It's good for you, and then you're just dying. And drowning.
So speaking of infants, how did Baldwin administer to children? Some sugar to make the bitterness go down? No, they just reduced the dose by half.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
I was hoping to make another Mary Poppins joke.
Now
but
we
that didn't work.
need one of those per podcast.
Yes.
Quote, little tiny infants can take a small amount. They will spit it out. It causes no harm. They just get a little diarrhea.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Wow, that's not dangerous at all for little children. No.
Just that.
No. And
Just that.
Archbishop Mark Grennan also downplays very similar side effects. Quote, yeah, we go a little too fast, get a little diarrhea, a little nausea. Oh, they got diarrhea, a little nausea, implying
Wow.
it's not a big deal. So
Oh my god.
just diarrhea. So what does the CDC have to say about diarrhea? Quote, diarrhea kills 2,195 children every day.
Oh my
More
god.
than AIDS, malaria, and measles combined. Diarrheal diseases account for 1 in 9 child deaths worldwide, making diarrhea the second leading cause of death among children under the age of 5. So, not only is MMS a dangerous poison which doesn't cure anything, spoiler alert, what it causes in children, diarrhea, is more dangerous than the diseases this idiot thinks MMS cures.
You know, I think it's our duty to take a diarrhea all over Baldwin's face, personally, at this point.
Yeah,
I
it
think
is our
that's-
duty. Oh.
I didn't even mean that. But you got it. Wow.
Man.
So the Guardian, so all of this is coming from this undercover quack medicine opponent. And so the Guardian wanted to hear from the man himself and called James Baldwin while he was in New Jersey. His explanation for poisoning children was simple. Quote, we use natural healing therapies to help people. That's something Christians do.
Well, no, my family is mostly Christian. They all use
I don't
actual
know.
medicine,
This just
so
means that they're not
that's not
actually Christians. This is,
Oh,
I'm sorry
actually,
to say.
Yeah, that's true. That makes more sense.
But
Yep, thanks.
Also, again, I know there's a lot of fun to be had with the word natural, but if anything is not natural, it's industrial bleach. I think that's one thing I know.
That's true.
Perhaps recognizing that this was not the best statement to make on the record, Baldwin added, quote, I don't think it's a good idea to be talking to the media right now.
That's right. They're children to poison. Damn it. There isn't time for this.
Yeah, I got things to do. Shipments to order.
Yeah.
So Baldwin stuck to his word. And when the Guardian asked what doses his church was using, Baldwin hung up the phone.
You know what? Baldwin could really learn a thing or two about dealing with the enemy of the people here. Don't ignore them. Just become more outrageous. It works.
Yes.
You can even become president by this tactic. It's true.
Yeah, that's true.
right.
He's got a lot to learn here. He's an amateur, definitely.
We've been seeing that a lot of people just that we've been covering recently, their biggest problem, the thing that's keeping them as chronic failures, is they're not getting with the times. They go a little bit,
Yeah.
but they don't go all
Right.
the way. That's the thing.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Now, what's strange about Robert Baldwin's missionary work is that all the poisonings were free of charge. Baldwin's church does receive donations on Facebook, but they don't appear to add up to very much.
Baldwin, let me do you a favor here. I got a guy for you. His name is Brian Colfage. Give him a call. He's available.
Yeah, he needs to Photoshop some big pharma CEOs into a picture of someone poisoning African children. And luckily, he has a lot of those pictures close at hand. So just need to get those in there.
Pretty dark.
So who exactly is bankrolling this mass poisoning?
George Soros?
Duh.
I just guess. Sorry.
Nope. Someone else has got this covered. George Soros is covering the bigger. I mean, he's funding the big pharma companies. That's the poisoning he's handling. So he farms this. He farms this small stuff out to lesser people.
I'm going to dispute that, Dylan. That what we know is anything that anyone considers bad ever is ultimately funded by George Soros. I think that's the thing that I've learned over the years.
Yeah, you might be right. This might be fake news right now, so I apologize for that. But I'm just going to continue talking as though it's true, because that's what our president would do. So apparently, the man behind the poisoning is 25-year-old Sam Little, who currently resides in Fort Portal in western Uganda. Sam Little's day job is being a clairvoyant through his sadly now shuttered business, Psychic Sam. He used to offer tarot card readings, healings, and regression therapy for a little under $9 a pop.
For a second there, I thought you said regressive therapy, because I thought it was like, therapy for regressive left people, the cucks, the soy boys of sorts.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what the regression therapy is. I mean, we can only hope, because they need all the help they can get.
That's true.
And I think Psychic Sam is the man to give it to them.
Little known fact, Psychic Sam, when he do his regression therapy, it turned out he was learning a lot about the insides of UFOs, and he was trying to figure out why that is. And if you want to know more about that, check out the How to Build a UFO series.
Yeah,
if you want to know more
it's
about
all
regression
coming together.
If you want to know more about regression therapy and how useful it is and how accurate it is, go check out that episode.
It's incredibly accurate, incredibly. But it wasn't his ability to read minds that got him to cash to donate to Baldwin's mass poisoning operation. Instead, Little had to rely on investments to donate $10,000 to Baldwin's cause. He also donated $30,000 to a home for 20 homeless Ugandan children. He calls it Sam's orphanage and insists he won't treat these children with MMS. And maybe that should be a pointer that you shouldn't treat any children with MMS. I'm not sure why these Ugandan youth he's keeping away from the bleach. But where did Sam Little get the wacky idea that drinking bleach was a good idea? Quote, "Somebody in my family was cured of cancer with MMS. I started researching online and saw more and more videos of people being cured. That's when I decided to test it myself on malaria and traveled to Africa."
Okay, so I don't know if you guys know this. I've mentioned it only 1,000 times. I have a Bachelor of Science, capital S degree, and I have the authority as such to let you all know that the only other science that is more trustworthy than questionnaire-based science is video-based science. So
the best, though, is to watch videos of people taking questionnaires. That's when the real medicine happens.
Oh, man. That is exactly right.
And test it, he did. Without any medical training in sight, he traveled to Uganda to show local hospital workers how to poison 9 people, including a 14-month-old baby, who screamed throughout the entirety of the poisoning. 2 hours later, blood tests revealed their malaria was gone. Now, did they have malaria in the first place? Who knows?
Yeah, the fun is in the guessing.
Exactly. But Sam Little also had a scientist backing up the efficacy of MMS. Eno Frey from the Heinrich Heine University in Dusseldorf, Germany, conducted a 2018 study which showed the effectiveness of MMS on 500 malarial patients in Cameroon. So it looks like, hey, we're getting some evidence in here.
Right. Yeah.
And the Guardian was real curious. Who is this guy? How did he do his study? And so they contacted the university, and their medical faculty was not very impressed with the work. Specifically, they found it, quote, scientifically worthless, contradictory, and in part ethically problematic.
No big deal.
And I would put contradictory before scientifically worthless, because the former entails the latter, I think.
And here we go again, our series topic debunked within one sentence.
Yeah, that's all it takes. So in February, Eno Frey was stripped of his title as Ausaplan Professor, or APL Professor, because he had severely damaged the respectability and trust this title requires. Yeah, and for all of our non-German listeners, an APL professor is something like a tenured adjunct instructor in the German academic system. They have a whole weird thing going on, but it's like an adjunct who has tenure.
Well, I personally prefer alt professors teaching us the rich knowledge to gain from all online alt movements on YouTube videos.
I mean, that's basically what this podcast is. I mean, that's true. We're all about those online alt movements.
We got to rename ourselves to the Alt Podcast.
Oh, man. As of today, Eno Frey no longer works for Heinrich Heine University in any capacity. All right, so what does Uganda think of all this shenanigans going on in their backyard? Believe it or not, the Ugandan Ministry of Health wasn't a big fan of unsponsored and totally horrific poisonings of its citizens.
I don't believe it.
What?
I was blown away.
That seems strange.
Emmanuel Ainabuno spoke for the ministry, quote, "We are investigating these people's activities. In the medical profession, you don't do advertising when you heal people." Although he should spend some time in the U.S. then, because I think we're doing things a little
Just
differently.
spend 10 minutes watching cable news.
Yeah,
when the
right.
commercials pop on. You will see about 80 drug company commercials.
Mm-hmm.
The Ugandan Ministry of Gender and Social Development was also skeptical of Little's plans for an orphanage. Quote, "We never received documents from Fort Portal showing the need for an orphanage. That is new information to us." And you should probably figure out if a country needs something before barging in to give it to them. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Just barge in, give them Jesus all the time.
That's right. Give them condoms.
Yeah, that's worked so well in the past. On May 25th, though, just a few days ago, Ugandan police arrested Sam Little and 2 local men for, quote, intoxicating the public.
Aww.
Little, of course, was not a big fan of being arrested, saying, quote, "I was acting out of the kindness of my heart. I didn't have to come here to Africa. I could be spending my money on holidays. I'm quite wealthy. I've spent a lot of money helping people in my life in different ways, not just with MMS. To tell me I'm doing what I'm doing is bad, that upsets me."
Hey, it's all about finding your career path in life. Poisoning children is a budding field. Not a lot of people in the industry yet. You probably just read that popular book, What Color is Your Parachute? Scammers Edition, to find out his career path. That was a little known edition of that book. But
I mean, clearly the color of his parachute is white. I mean, that just goes without saying.
That is true.
Ugandan authorities are also interested in arresting Robert Baldwin, but that's going to be trickier as he is currently in New Jersey. He took the smart scammers route and stayed out of Uganda himself. He let local people do that for him. But now we need to move away from Africa and back to the US, because while Jim Humble is the inventor of MMS, and Robert Baldwin and Sam Little are exporting MMS to Uganda, Kerri Rivera, a former Chicago real estate agent, is the biggest proponent of MMS for autism.
Jesus.
She boosted MMS in her 2013 book, Healing the Symptoms Known as Autism. This is very similar to a book I wrote dedicated to Rivera, Healing the Symptoms Known as Being an Asshole. A little different. In the book, she describes stumbling onto Humble's ideas while experimenting with cures for her autistic son.
Christ.
And hey, it's a good approach to medical care for your children. Experiment. She already had a foot in the world of bad autism cures, having already tried hyperbaric chambers and heavy metal antidotes.
That's like actual metals, not like Meshuggah therapy or something.
I hope it is Meshuggah therapy. I think that would be a lot healthier.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But there was a key cure missing from all these discussions. Quote, "Disappointingly, there was absolutely nothing on the internet about autism and MMS," Rivera wrote in her book. I'm not sure why she was so disappointed. The innovation got her lots of cash. This is where she found her niche. Aside from running the autism bullshit circuit and promoting her noxious chemical poisons on Facebook and YouTube, she even runs her own chlorine dioxide clinic in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. And it's been a long time since we needed to remind listeners that there are plenty of qualified healthcare professionals in Mexico. And you can listen to our Cancer Quackery series for more on all that.
Well, one highly qualified professional I know of that is currently residing in Mexico is one Jesse Ventura.
That's a good point. He's too busy to bleed, and that's because he is so healthy. Now, Rivera has gotten a lot of flack for, poisoning children.
Why?
But she doesn't take this criticism lying down. In an email to NBC, Rivera defended her approach. Quote, "This is a medical issue. I have a degree in homeopathy and work with MDs and PhD scientists."
Sorry, did she say a degree in homeopathy?
She did. She did. And so, this is like me saying, This is a legal issue. I have a degree in sovereign citizen debt forgivenessology. It's about the same.
Yeah, okay. Can I schedule an appointment with you, Dylan? I didn't know that. My student loans are getting rough, so...
Well, you can pay just a few grand to attend my seminar in a back alley somewhere, and we'll fix you right up.
Great. Also, any way I can bring all my small children and you could force feed them bleach in a wine glass. Is that something
Hey, we are a legal seminar. The medical seminar is in the next alley.
Okay, got it.
None of us have homeopathy degrees here. NBC News was really curious where Rivera got her degree and who exactly these MDs and PhD scientists were. Sadly, Rivera never responded when NBC News asked. Rivera is also aware that other MDs and PhD scientists are not so keen on making children drink bleach.
What?
But all she has for these fools is derision. Quote, if it's deadly, we would see dead people.
Oh, like Sixth Sense style?
No. Just regular old corpses.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what she's talking about.
Got it.
And you know what? Rivera's right. Sadly, it's also true that we do see dead people. According to the American Association of Poison Control Centers, there were 16,521 cases of chlorine dioxide poisoning over the past 5 years. 2,500 cases were children under 12 years of age. In 2,123 cases, there were serious side effects. In 50, they were life-threatening. In 8, there were fatalities. Luckily, though, there are mothers fighting back against Rivera and this bleach nonsense for autism.
Mothers against drunk thinking.
Exactly right. So mothers of children with autism are rightly concerned and want to give their children all the help that they need. Autism is particularly horrible because it's a condition that leaves mothers feeling helpless as there is no cure to date. Grace Berenik, PhD, is a professor and expert on autism spectrum disorder at the University of Southern California. She says, quote, autism is a really complex disorder, and because we don't have a single specific cause, there is likely to be a multitude of factors that are contributing to the heterogeneity in autism. That leaves parents vulnerable, not knowing why their children has this disorder and, necessarily, what treatments are going to be most effective. Melissa Eaton and Amanda Siegler, two mothers of autistic children, discovered to their shock the prevalence of MMS support in Facebook groups for parents of autistic children. So they decided become the best kind of narcs. Quote, it really weighs on you, but kids are being abused, Eaton said. You see it. You have the choice of doing something about it or letting it go. And I'm not the kind of person who can see something like that and just forget about it.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool. And this reminds me of a story. My mom told me that she worked somewhere and a coworker of hers put alcohol in her baby's bottle so that the baby would go to sleep easier. And so my mom turned her ass into CPS. So that's pretty awesome.
Wait, Dylan. So your mom is just okay with turning over a sovereign citizen to the state merely for administering alcohol to her own property?
I know.
So gross.
Yeah, she's kind of confused in terms of her political beliefs, I'll admit.
Okay.
So what did these mothers do? They pretended to be desperate parents looking for anyone to cure their children of autism to gain entrance into these private Facebook groups.
Oh, so they use fraud. I see how these mothers are. I see.
Fraud for a good cause.
Then they took screenshots of conversations in the group of parents giving their children MMS and the frightening side effects the parents mentioned. And I want to warn all our listeners that these descriptions are pretty horrible. Quote, my son is constantly making a gasping sound, posted one Kansas mother who claimed to treat her adult son with chlorine dioxide, according to screenshots shared by Eaton and Siegler. He won't open his mouth, a Canadian mom wrote of her 2-year-old's unwillingness to drink the chlorine dioxide. He screams, spits, flips over.
Yeah, the sure way you know a miracle cure works is if the patient screams and spits violently. This is seriously fucked up. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Besides taking MMS orally, some parents opt to give their children MMS enemas. From one Massachusetts parent, quote, have not been able to get 5-year-old to cooperate with enemas. One Georgia mother posted a photo of a long thread of what looks like mucus that she said dislodged after giving her autistic son a chlorine dioxide enema. In the caption, she wrote, it broke in half when Jojo trying to escape.
Can we get these people arrested? This is horrible. Christ.
Well,
yeah, I'm no longer a libertarian. Please, Child Protective Services, come and take these children away.
And despite all these descriptions of these horrendous side effects of giving MMS to the children, many comments on these posts suggest that this is just proof that they are working.
You know, I got to say, I think the power of confirmation bias is far more powerful than even MMS.
Wow. Yeah. I think you're right.
I've learned.
Yeah. So, screenshots in hand, Eaton and Siegler research to find out where these parents live and who they are. And then with this info, they submit the screenshots to their local child protective services.
That's awesome. Good stuff. Yes. Is that Clapter? Is that your cat? Or Lewis is clapping. Got it.
No, that wasn't Lewis. That was Forrest.
Oh, my bad.
This is actually something the moderators for these groups try to teach their members to avoid. From Business Insider, quote, one moderator of the forum advises parents not to share that they're giving their child MMS with therapists, nurses, and school officials, to keep evidence of MMS use out of sight when therapists visit, and warns that any protocol you use that is beyond the mainstream standard of care can get you in trouble if you disclose publicly.
Makes sense. Perfect.
Makes sense, but they can't hide from the screenshotting prowess of Eaton and Siegler, who also send the screenshots to Facebook, the FDA, the Department of Justice, and child abuse organizations.
But the Department of Justice said, hey, who cares? Forget about it. What did they say?
Yeah.
The new Department of Justice, very new one.
But it's not just Eaton and Siegler on the case. It's also the big tech companies who are slamming down on the freedom of speech to learn how to poison children. Amazon themselves, just about a week or so ago, halted the sale of books promoting bleach cures.
This is such a prime example of Amazon infringing on the free speech rights of Americans. That's a good joke.
Oh, God. I liked it.
I got it. It didn't make me laugh, but I got it.
I laughed.
Which is the whole point of a joke.
I laughed.
Anyway, these books taught readers how to make MMS in the privacy of their own home. And the real mystery to me is why these folks didn't just visit Jim Humble's YouTube page, where he shows you how to do this for free. I guess people like books. According to NBC, quote, in March, after a critical report in Wired, Amazon banned 2 autism cure books, which included Kerri Rivera's Healing the Symptoms Known as Autism, a guide in which she introduced Humble's bleach recipe to parents of autistic children. And yet, Healing the Symptoms Known as Being an Asshole is still selling like hotcakes. So, thanks, Amazon.
Yeah, and so is, I think, Bible 2, Electric Boogaloo, and the Book of Shams, volume 7,827. They're all topping the charts.
And it isn't just Amazon who hates free speech, but also YouTube and Facebook, who have recently answered the demands of health advocates and lawmakers to stomp out on their platforms the spread of anti-vaccination and other related non-cures. I can't believe these private companies aren't abiding by a law that only applies to government.
Well, you know, at this point, Jeff Bezos is pretty much more powerful than the government, so maybe the kooks have a little bit of a point. I don't know.
Maybe.
The libtards for many years were warning everybody, maybe corporations are becoming too big and powerful. And they're like, no, libtard, don't be a cuck. Just accept capitalism. But then when they get banned, it's like, oh no, the tech companies have too much power. Break them up now.
Right.
It's like, well, there it is.
I also wonder if these MMS books were ever, once available on Audible in case you live a busy life and you prefer to listen to your books on how to poison yourself and your family, and you're on the go. I don't know if they were.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot more convenient. According to the NBC article, quote, in April, Facebook deleted several chlorine dioxide pages and groups with thousands of members, citing a policy against content that promotes illegal drugs. That same month, YouTube deleted scores of videos and channels with millions of views dedicated to chlorine dioxide, explaining that they violated standards against, quote, content intended to encourage dangerous activities that have an inherent risk of physical harm. And they'll just come back with videos about how to deal with mussels and bleach wood pulp, but while winking the whole time. And, that's really the approach they're going to take now.
And it turns out all the people that were in charge of removing this content, they all started drinking bleach. That's something that is a little known fact.
Oh, no. It's true. But, there is a quick update here. We just did a quick Amazon search, and it looks like they can't stop free bleach speech forever.
Good.
The MMS Handbook, Your Health in Your Hands by Anjay Oswald, MD, is a book you can purchase about MMS on Amazon that only costs $588.
Oh my God.
Really, though, This knowledge is priceless. Hey, wait, did I say priceless? I meant worthless.
MMS book, $588. Cost at the emergency room for chlorine dioxide poisoning, $7,500. Finding out you've been conned by a guy that wears a bejeweled cowboy hat, priceless. There's some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MMS.
Oh my God.
And so to conclude, all jokings aside, if you or a family member ingests bleach or other toxic chemicals,
Or MMS.
you should call the United States Poison Control Center at 1-800-222-1222 or just dial 911.
And that's if you ingest it accidentally or purposely. Either way.
Yes.
Yeah,
Either way, give them a call. And with that, we are done with part 2 of the MMS Bleach Cure series. So, Forrest, Brent, what did you learn in today's episode? What most stuck out to you?
God, that there's no
Nothing.
bottom to human stupidity. I think there's no way to reach the very bottom.
Yeah, don't trust people that wear bejeweled cowboy hats.
That's
one thing.
I could not imagine, I can't even imagine even considering drinking bleach. To me, that's just so insane. I don't know.
And I think that's part of why they have these cute names. They call it MMS. They use the chemical name. Because as long as you don't call it bleach, you don't get the immediate, ooh, that's a terrible idea.
Right.
Yeah, they got to create all these euphemisms to make it more marketable. But
yeah, exactly.
It's very, very strange. I don't get it. I don't get why anyone would try this.
I know.
And going back to what you said about the last episode of where did Humble even get the idea to do this to treat malaria?
I don't know.
That's something I want to learn, the origins behind that.
I tried finding it. I just could not find where he got this idea.
It's like one thing you're hawking some like bullshit thing that's snake oil that doesn't work, but it's another thing that's like literally harmful. Like that is poison. Like no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like why?
Yeah, exactly. The people who think that, Neil Adams, who thinks the earth is expanding, that's not killing anybody.
Right, exactly.
Like this is actively killing people and harming many more.
Right.
And so with that, we are done with our MMS and Bleach Cure series. And as always, you can find us on social media at NDCIO on Twitter and at None Dare Call It Ordinary on Instagram. And if you find out that we've made a mistake or we've taken a speculation too far, we're always categorizing those and taking submissions for a None Dare Call It Wrong series where we let you know all the mistakes we made. And you could reach out to us on social media or just send us an email, nonedarecallitordinary@gmail.com. And once again, we are now on Patreon. You can find us at patreon.com/nonedarecallitordinary. For only $1 a month, you can join the Ordinarium. You get a shout out on the show, and you are supporting us so we can continue giving you the content that you love to listen to. And with that, we are done.